Okay, hello, welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome so much. You are so much welcome. Welcome to your yoga class. My name is Jenny. This is going to be a core and restore class. So we're going to get through just kind of some traditional sun salutation-esque type movements, kind of get the body flowing, get some energy going. And then we'll bring some awareness to the core, really focusing on building some strength from our center. And then we'll settle into a nice restorative practice. So props can be nice. I do have a block, or you can grab two. This is good for bringing in a little support, little lift. It's nice to sit on too, helps you sit a little bit taller. You can also grab blankets of various sizes. You can roll one up to use as kind of a cushion or like a bolster. You can also grab pillows, cushions, bolsters for some of the other restorative poses. So as we get into that part, I'll tell you how to use different props, but know that you don't necessarily have to use props. So props are a really nice way to, I hate to say supplement your practice, but they're just there to assist you. They're there to help you find what feels best in your body, and sometimes going deeper, isn't always necessarily that. So props aren't just for beginners. They're not, check the ego around props, because they can be a very nice added addition to your practice. So take some time to gather some props. And then meet me on your mat. We're gonna start standing today. So as you feel ready, starting to come to your mountain pose at the top of the mat. It's your choice what feels best in the body. As always, just continue to check in with your body, seeing what feels good, and if a cue that I give doesn't feel awesome, find something that does. So starting in mountain pose, you can bring the feet about hip distance, maybe trying to get the toes to point forward. But I'm pigeon-toed, so I feel more stable with my toes slightly turned in. You can also bring the big toes to touch, have a little separation between the heels, make a little narrower stance, if that feels better. So just kind of play around with that for a minute. Really connecting down to your feet, whichever position you're taking with the legs. Really feel into all four corners of the feet. Lift up through the toes, spread them out, and then set the toes back down. And then lift through the arches of the feet. So the foot is fully connected and fully activated. And then as we work our way up, we've got the knees. If the legs are hip distance, and the knees are over the ankles. If the feet are a little bit wider or a little bit closer, then knees aren't going to be quite in line with the ankles. But have a little softness in the knees, a slight tuck of the tailbone, so that we're just kind of working with the natural curvature of the spine. So we don't want to be like duck-butted out, have the butt that's really exaggerating, but like that, or scoop so far under that it pushes our hips and our pelvis forward. We just want a little lengthening of that tailbone down, which also brings the hip bones up towards the ribs, the low ribs. So it's just a slight little tuck to help protect the low back, bring in some activation, and start to engage in the core. Working your way up, keep a nice straight spine, relax in the shoulders, relax in the face. Palms can turn facing forward, spreading out through the hands, and just stand. Very simple, yet very powerful pose. A beautiful mountain pose. And as you start to settle into your standing, just start to check in with the body, start to notice the breath. Notice your reaction to standing. Now, if you take these classes often, most of my classes we usually start seating. My words are really working well today. So just notice if there's resistance in standing, if you're like, oh, can we just sit down already? Or if you're like, all right, let's get this going, you're super full of energy. Just kind of notice where you're at. And then starting to bring awareness to the breath. Start to work with the breath. Now as you observe it, start to lengthen it. Bringing a little more depth into your inhale, some extension to your exhale. And you start to notice the effects of these deep breaths, taking in a little bit more prana, a little more life force. If Ujjayi breathing is something that you play with in your practice or want to start, then bring in a little activation of the muscles in the back of the throat. So it's the same muscles you use when you fog up a window, so kind of that sound. But as you breathe in and out of the nose, it creates this little oceanic sound, a little whisper breath, so that the mind can tune into it. Feeling into the body, connecting to the breath, and we'll start to add some movement with the breath. So from your mountain pose, rooting down towards the feet, soften in the knees. Inhale, send the arms out to the side, raise them up towards the sky. Exhale, bend the elbows, bring them into goalposts. Inhale, broaden through the chest, shoulder blades draw together. Exhale, prayer hands come together, elbows come together, chin tucks in, elbows stay lifted. Inhale, re-extend up towards the sky. And exhale, release the arms back down. And we'll just repeat that. Again, inhale, send the arms out, raise them up. Exhale, opening up through the shoulders and the chest, bring the elbows into goalposts, spread out through the hands. Inhale, shoulder blades draw together, lift in the chest, maybe gaze lifts, little baby back bend. Exhale, elbows stay lifted as they come together, palms press together, chin tucks in, lengthening through the neck. Inhale, raise up, reach the arms up towards the sky. And exhale, release the hands down. Awesome, we'll add a little bit more. Inhale, send the arms out towards the side. Exhale, as you bend the elbows into goalpost, bend the knees into chair pose. Awesome work. Pause here. Inhale, draw the shoulders together. Lengthen through the spine. Exhale, draw the elbows and palms together, tuck in through the chin. Inhale, re-extend through the legs, reach up through the arms. Exhale, release the hands down. Awesome work. Again, inhale, send the arms out, raise them up. Exhale, bend the elbows, bend the knees. Pause here. Find chair pose. Stay connected to the feet, lengthening through the spine. Hands can reach back up, biceps by the ears, or keep the elbows bent. Your choice how deep you're bending the knees. The further you bend the knees, the more you want to shift the hips back. We're trying to get the ankles in line with the knees, but it's okay if it comes a little past. We just don't want the knees to bend past the toes, so protecting those knee joints. Beautiful work. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend the elbows if they're not already bent. Inhale, shoulder blades draw together, little back bend in your chair. Exhale, elbows and palms come together, tuck in through the chin. Inhale, re-extend through the legs, reach arms up towards the sky, extended mountain pose. On the exhale, we're gonna dive forward, but just halfway. So hinge at the hips, soften in the knees, lead with the heart. Arms can spread out into goalpost or out to flying V, little T. They can reach back behind you, they can come to the hips, they can rest on the shins or the thighs. So we're pausing here. We've still got this length in the spine. Gaze towards the ground so you have a nice neutral neck. Continue to breathe into the belly. Drawing the belly in towards the spine, up towards the heart on the exhale. And on the inhale, letting the belly drop, opening up, filling up the lungs nice and full. So here we are not only getting a nice stretch in the backs of the legs, but we're building core strength. As we lengthen through the spine and hover the chest, we're building that core strength without the weight of gravity compressing us down. So this can be great for posture, or again, just for finding some strength in the core. One more deep inhale to lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, release the head and neck down. Stay soft in the knees, arms release down, nice forward fold. Feel free to let a sigh out of the mouth if that would feel good here. Awesome work. Now we're going to continue to warm up the hamstrings and the backs of the legs. So we'll inhale to find our half lift, lengthening through the spine, chest hovers. Exhale, we'll fold back forward, bend the knees, lower the hips down, as low as feels good. The heels can stay on the ground or they could raise. Again, inhale, straighten through the legs, half lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold it in, bend the knees. Again, maybe the heels lift as you come all the way down. Hands can come to the ground for support. Inhale, once again, half lift, lengthen through the spine, chest hovers. Exhale, bow forward, soften in the knees. Maybe you bend in the knees as you curl in. Last one, finding length in the low back. Inhale, extend through the spine, half lift. And exhale, fold it in. Hips lower as far as feels okay. Chest comes towards the thighs. And we pause here. Maybe you shake the head, yes and no. But we've got that softening in the knees as the chest comes towards the thighs, but the sits bones are still lifting up. So even though we don't have straight legs, we're not locking out, we're protecting those knee joints, but we're still lifting the sits bones up towards the sky, even with that bend in the knees. Fantastic work. From here, we're gonna plant the hands and we'll step the feet back into a plank pose. Now from plank, you can leave the knees raised in high plank. You could lower the knees, keeping the spine in a diagonal in a half plank. Or you could send the hips back over the knees, walk the hands kind of beneath the shoulders and come into a plank tabletop. All right, so we're either here, here, or here. And wherever we are, core is engaged, belly drawing in and up, ribs hugging in. And just like we had that little tilt of the tailbone in our standing mountain pose, which drew the hip bones up towards the low ribs, we want to bring that activation into our plank pose so that the core is fully engaged. We've got that support there. Fantastic work. Find your breath. Stay really connected to the hands. We're pressing down into all of the finger pads, rooting down through the feet, lengthening through the spine. Again, no matter where you are, in full plank, half plank, or tabletop plank, core is fully engaged and we're pressing the ground away. We're lifting the back of the heart up. Awesome work. When you're ready, nice and slow, we're coming all the way down to the belly. So however you'd like to get there, lowering nice and slow. Awesome work. Toes point back behind you. Fingertips reach back behind you. Inhale, we'll start to lift the head, neck, and shoulders up. Maybe the hands reach back. And exhale, lower down. If it's too much to have the hands hovering, bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, lower. What we're trying to do is not use too much weight in the hands. Inhale, lift, so that we're activating the muscles in the back of the spine, so that we're activating the back side of the core. Exhale, lower. And inhale, lift. So hands are either reaching back or they're slightly on the ground. Exhale, lower. Last one with a hold. Inhale, lift. Reach it back. Maybe the toes start to hover, maybe just one at a time, maybe both, coming into locust pose. Hands are energetically reaching, or maybe they interlace, finding even more opening through the chest. Hovering through the legs if that feels okay, or if the legs aren't hovering, pressing into the tops of the feet so the legs are active. Coming up as high as feels okay, tune in with the low back. One more deep inhale, and exhale, release down. Hands come back underneath the shoulders. We reverse our plank, so you're either coming up through our tabletop, through half plank or full plank. Lift the hips, downward dog. Whew. Take a few rounds of breath here, maybe even pedaling through the feet. Had a nice little warm up for the spine and the low back and the backs of the legs, so hopefully feeling a little warmed up in our downward dog. Beautiful work. Rooting down through the hands, we're lengthening, pressing away from the ground. Inhale, start to raise the right leg up. Doesn't matter if it's just a couple inches above the ground, if it's parallel, or if it's reaching all the way up. Exhale, we're gonna start to shift forward as we step the foot between the hands. Inhale, raise up, high crescent lunge. Root down towards the feet. Find that solid connection like we had in our mountain pose. Hands can come to the knees for support or arms reaching up. Squaring through the hips, squeezing the hips in together. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release it down, plant the hands. We're just gonna step that foot back through our three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, open through the hips. Awesome work. Check to see if that left shoulder has dropped down. We want the shoulders pretty squared. Inhale, re-extend through that leg, three-legged dog. Exhale, once again, we're stepping the foot between the hands. This time, pivot the back heel down. So the back heel plants, toes about a 45-degree angle, square through the hips. Inhale, raise up, warrior one. So it's kind of similar to our high lunge, except for the back heel in a lunge, back heel is lifting. In our warrior one, back heel is pivoting down. Now for me, it feels best to have my feet a little wider in warrior one. Because of my low back stuff, I didn't practice this for a long time, but then realizing that just taking my stance a little wider helps. So, whatever feels best for you, finding our warrior one. Inhale to lengthen, reach the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, we're open through the hips, so right hip kind of shifts forward as we open up into warrior two. So we're going from squared hips forward to drawing that hip back and opening up into a warrior two. Awesome work. Find your warrior two, arms extended, spine nice and straight, core is activated. And we're bending in that front knee, so the knee is in line with the ankle, not past it. It's okay if it's behind. Awesome work. On your next inhale, reverse your warrior. Yes. Open up through that whole right side of the body. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, come back through warrior two. Nice deep inhale here. Exhale, find a side angle. So we're gonna start by leaning forward, bending in the right elbow to right knee. And kind of stay here for a moment. The left arm can reach up towards the sky. Now what we don't want to do is to put all the weight in that forearm, so we're just resting there. We want to lift up and away. We want space between our ribs and our thigh, so we're not collapsing down. We've got a lift, we've got an arch, we've got space here as we open up. Spine is nice and extended. If you want, the right hand can start to reach down towards the ground or towards a block. And maybe lower down a little bit further, but that's not necessary. We definitely don't need to touch the ground here. Beautiful work. When you're ready, we're gonna scoop the arms up through warrior two, and then straight through the front leg, reverse triangle. Oh, that feels so good. Through the hip flexor, opening up. Again, that right arm reaches up towards the sky, left hand can just travel down. Beautiful work. Inhale, come back up through center in a straight-legged warrior two, setting up for triangle. So kind of similar to side angle, but here, as we lean forward, notice the low rib and the hip kind of drawing together. We want to maintain that. So as you lean forward as far as you can, hips scoop out, and then you start to tilt the arms down. And then if you want, if there is space, start to lower down without opening up through that side. So you see we're still drawing the rib and hip together in our triangle. So we've got triangle here, we've got side angle. So we've got that opening in our side angle, our triangle, we're reining it in. So we're really focusing on those obliques. Beautiful work. From your triangle, inhale, come back up, rebend in that knee, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel the hands all the way down. Plant the hands, draw the foot back. On an exhale, lower down to a push-up or all the way to the belly. Inhale, up to cobra or upward dog. And exhale, downward dog. Fantastic work. Maybe shaking it out. This is my new favorite thing to do in down dog, is just bounce the heels. Shake through the pelvis, maybe shake through the head. All right, when you're ready, inhale, extend the left leg forward, up, and back. Again, maybe the toes just hover, maybe they come parallel, maybe they reach up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, shift forward through plank as you step the foot between the hands. Back heel stays lifted, square through the hips, inner thighs draw together. When you're ready, inhale, raise up, high crescent lunge. Again, hands can come to the knee. They could come to the hips. They could reach up. Awesome work. We're active in that back leg. Back leg is lifted. Hip bone is slightly pushing forward to get a nice stretch through that hip flexor. Back heel is lifted. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release it down. Plant the hands. Start to draw that right foot back, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee. Scorpion. Check in with that right shoulder. There's a tendency to drop it down. Lift it, square it. Awesome work. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, step the foot between the hands. This time, back heel pivots down. Take the stance wider if that would feel good in your warrior one. Again, connect to the feet, connect to the core. When you're ready, inhale, raise up, warrior one. So again, I don't know if you can see, the typical cue is having the heels in line in warrior one. I can't do that. That's not how my body's built. My hips don't do that. So what works for me is taking my stance. It's pretty wide, almost as wide as my hips, maybe even a little wider, so that I can get that squaring of the hips without compromising my low back, without compromising my back knee. So hopefully that can help some of you with your warrior one. Awesome work. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, we're opening up to warrior two. So again, we're drawing that right hip back. So we open up through the hips, arms along horizon. We're pressing into the feet. Find that activation. Lengthen up through the crown of the head, engaging the core. We're bending into that front knee. Beautiful work. Nice deep inhale, flip the front palm up. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Switch sides. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that feels so good. Staying bent in the knee, active in the legs, pressing down towards the feet. Inhale, come back up through warrior two. Exhale to start to set up side angle. So again, we're gonna lean forward. We're gonna bring left elbow to left knee. And then we're gonna pause here. Maybe that arm reaches up towards the sky. So again, we're pressing into that elbow to lift up and out of the shoulder, but we're not putting all the weight on the elbow. So you can see if I move it, it doesn't collapse me. All right, and we've got this opening, this splaying, if that's even a word, the separation of the ribs and the hip in the obliques. You can even reach that arm over for a really extended side angle. Beautiful work. Again, you can start to reach that arm down towards the ground, but you should be able to move that arm away without collapsing. So you got that engagement. Awesome work. When you're ready on an inhale, we'll cartwheel back up towards a warrior two as we straighten through the front leg and then reverse triangle. Ooh, that feels so good in the hips. Awesome work. And we'll revisit all of this. We're gonna go through the flow. Let's see how many times we've got time for. Awesome work. When you're ready, inhale, come back up through center, setting up our triangle. So feet are about the same unless it feels a little wide. You can bring the feet in. Keep that spine nice and extended and then reach out. Hoops. Hips scoop out. And then we extend, we reach out as far as we can. And then again, notice, in that side angle, we had the ribs and the hips separating, so we've got that spreading out there. Here we're drawing it in together, so we have that engagement of the obliques as we come into our triangle pose. So again, side angle, if you can see, is opening up through that whole side. Triangle is drawing it in and activating for support. Beautiful work. When you're ready, inhale, come back up, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel the hands all the way down. Draw the foot back through whatever version of plank you'd like to take, and then choose your own adventure to downward dog. If you want to take a push-up to chaturanga, belly to cobra. If you want to take a child's pose, we'll meet in our downward dog. Awesome work. We'll flow through this once, maybe twice. We'll do some core work, and then we'll get to the restore. So that's what we got for the last half of our class. All righty. As you feel ready from downward dog, inhale, extend the right leg forward, up and back. Exhale, shift forward through plank. Step the foot. Back heel stays lifted. Inhale, raise up. High crescent lunge. Exhale, release it down. Plant the hands. Draw the right foot back, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee into scorpion. Awesome work. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, step the foot between the hands. Pivot back heel down, square through the hips. Inhale, raise up. Warrior one. Exhale, open up. Warrior two. Beautiful work. Inhale, reverse warrior. And exhale, come forward, side angle. Ooh, yeah. Inhale, straighten through the leg as you reverse triangle. Exhale, keeping that oblique activation, hip scoop as you come to triangle. Inhale, rebend in that knee, come back through warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Plant the hands, draw the right foot back. Choose your own adventure to downward dog. Push up to upward dog, belly to cobra. Landing in downward dog. Taking it to the other side, inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, left foot steps between the hands. Square through the hips, activate through the legs. Inhale, raise up, high crescent lunge. Exhale, release it down. Plant the hands, draw the left foot back, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, scorpion. Inhale, re-extend through the leg. Exhale, step the foot between the hands. Pivot back heel down, square through the hips. Root down towards the feet. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Awesome work. Inhale, reverse warrior. And exhale, side angle, opening up through the obliques. Inhale, straighten through the leg, reverse triangle. Exhale, come into triangle, activating in those obliques. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Come through plank pose. Your choice to downward dog. Awesome work. Let's do that one more time, just because it's fun. All right, when you're ready, inhale, right leg up. Exhale, step the foot between the hands, plant the feet. Inhale, raise up, high crescent lunge. Exhale, release the hands down, plant the hands, draw the right foot back, three-legged dog. Exhale, scorpion. Check in with the shoulders. Inhale, re-extend, three-legged dog. Exhale, step the foot forward. Pivot the back heel down. Square through the hips. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, reverse triangle, so straightening through that front leg. Oh, and exhale, triangle. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel the hands all the way down. Come through plank pose. Choose your own adventure to downward dog. Last round. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, foot steps between the hands. Inhale, high crescent lunge, root back through that heel. Exhale, release it down, plant the hands, draw the right foot back, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, scorpion. Inhale, re-extend through the leg. Exhale, step the foot between the hands. Pivot back, heel down, square through the hips. Widen the stance if needed. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, open up warrior two. Inhale, flip the palm, reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle. Find that oblique opening. Inhale, come back up, warrior two, but straightening through the leg. Reverse triangle. And exhale, into triangle. Inhale, rebend that knee, come back up, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Come through plank pose. One last, choose your own adventure to downward dog. Awesome work. From downward dog, we'll bend the knees, hop or step the feet forward, we'll come to a seat. So sit about the middle of your mat, so you got some space back behind you. Let's play with boat pose. So, for those new to boat or still working on boat, we want to find solid connection to the sits bones, because that's what we're going to balance on. So to start, we're going to bring our hands back behind us. It doesn't really matter which direction the hands are pointing, just whatever feels best, just for kind of some support here. And you can even bring in blocks or something to bring the ground closer so that you can press into the hands and lift up through the chest. So we want to find a nice length through the spine. Draw the belly in, hug ribs in. All right, from here, feel that activation. If you want a little more, start to walk the heels back towards the glutes, okay? If you want a little more, maybe you come up onto the toes. Still lengthening through that spine, core is engaged. Now I'm just gonna gradually take you further and further. Don't feel like you need to push yourself to the furthest limit. Listen to your body and just do what feels good. No right or wrong answer here, just lots of different ways for you to explore. All right, so if this is feeling good, if you want to take it a little bit further, maybe you start to try to hover one foot off the ground at a time, or maybe they both hover. You can also start to work to bring the shins parallel to the ground, flexing the toes back. Now we've still got the hands on the ground, lengthening through the spine, opening through the chest. If you feel like you maybe don't need that little kickstand back behind you, then go ahead and bring the hands towards the knees, maybe behind the knees. They could also extend out in front of you. Awesome work. So we've got our heart lifting up towards the sky. Imagine there's like a string pulling up. We've got this length in the spine. We've got a little bit of lean back, but we're not rolling all the way back. So we're nice and extended in the spine. Heart is lifting. Fantastic work. Whew, I feel this in my core and my hip flexors, man. Awesome work. Now, if you want to take it just a step further, again, not necessary, but if you're really wanting to crank that core, we're gonna inhale to lengthen. Exhale, start to extend through the legs, laying back, coming into low boat or extended boat. Inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, extend down. Again, not necessary. Inhale, come back up. Embrace the shake. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Whew. Inhale, up. Now here we're all gonna lay down. So take it down. You can plant the feet. Lower all the way down to the ground. Oh, that feels good. Nice release here. Maybe walking the feet out and taking some windshield wiper side to side. Alrighty. Fantastic work. Gonna do a little bit more with the core here. So from the back, doesn't that feel good to release the hips down? My hip flexors are filling up from that boat. Okay, so from here, we're once again gonna take the shins parallel to the ground, flexing the toes back. Now we wanna work to bring the knees in line with the hips, but that takes some strength and some flexibility. So if your feet are further out, that's totally fine. You'll probably get some more core engagement there. So, we can gradually work towards that. That's kind of what we're aiming for here. Not incredibly necessary. And then we're gonna interlace the hands, opening, or behind the head, open up through the elbows, chin lifts up. Awesome work. Now we're gonna inhale, lift the head, neck, and shoulders up, draw the belly down, and exhale, lower down. All right, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Again, embrace the shake. Belly drawing down, inhale, lift, chin lifting, elbows open, don't let the elbows come together. Exhale, lower. Awesome. If this is enough for you, stay here. If you want a little bit more. Inhale as you raise the head and neck and shoulders up, extend the legs up. And exhale, hold lower legs down. Inhale, draw the knees back in, shins parallel, and exhale, release down. Awesome work. So again, you're either doing just regular kind of sit-ups with intention with your breath, or inhaling, extending legs up, raising head, neck, and shoulders. Exhale, shoulders hover as you lower the legs. Inhale, draw the knees back in towards the hips, and exhale, release the head down. A few more like that. If you're taking that option, inhale, raise the head, neck, and shoulders, extend legs up. Exhale, shoulders hover as you lower the legs. Inhale, draw the knees in, shins parallel to the ground. And exhale, release it down. Awesome work. Go ahead and release the feet. If it would feel good, bring the bottoms of the feet to touch and let those knees drop open. Kind of feeling into those hip flexors, maybe a little rocking side to side. Whoo-wee, that feels good. All right, now we've got just a little bit more core work. This is we're trying to get this deep, low core. So we're also gonna be activating Mula Bandha, which I've talked about in other classes. It's our root lock. So there's a few different ways to describe it. So I'm gonna go through all of them, so maybe one of them will hit. So Mula Bandha, root lock, it's activating the muscles in the perineum. So it's the same muscles that activate when you're doing a Kegel, or when you are like trying to hold in, when you gotta go pee really bad. Those muscles that activate. It can also be described as lifting the pelvic floor. So that's the activation we're going for here. So with the feet on the ground, start with the knees bent, feet on the ground. And then we're gonna slowly start to draw the knees in towards the chest. There'll be a little tuck through the tailbone, so you're lengthening through the spine. Hands can be down on the ground, palms pressing in for some support, or you could have the hands behind the head, whatever feels best here. So we're gonna engage that Mula Bandha, lift through the pelvic floor, engage the muscles in the perineum, do your Kegel, whatever it is, whatever cue works for you. And then when you're ready, we're gonna inhale to raise the head, neck, and shoulders up as we scoop through the tailbone, lifting through the hips, knees draw towards the face. And we're gonna hold here. Awesome work. So if you want support for the neck, the hands can come back behind you. Hands are pressing in the ground, or hands could even hover. Find Mula Bandha, engage the perineum muscles. Again, scoop through that tailbone, lifting through the hips. Awesome work. We're gonna pulse for 10, 9, little lifts through the hips, 8, 7, activating through the perineum, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, release it down. Very subtle movements, but holy crap, do I feel that. Whew. Awesome work. From here, we're taking us into a bridge pose. So with the knees bent, walk the heels in towards the glutes. Close enough so that the heels are pretty much underneath the knees. Legs hip distance apart. Find that same connection down to the feet. So press into all four corners, lift up through the toes, spread them out, and then send them back down. Awesome work. And we'll find a little lift in the chest, tucking the shoulder blades underneath. Pressing into the shoulders, pressing into the back of the head to get length in the spine, and pressing into the feet. Inhale, start to peel the pelvis off the ground, raise it up towards the sky, coming into a bridge pose. Hands could interlace. You could even tuck the shoulder blades even more underneath the back. You could also take a supported bridge here if you're ready for some more passive movements in our practice. So you can grab a block, a bolster, a blanket, a combination of any of those. If, again, you want to take a supported little bridge here, which is a nice opening for the hip flexors, works with some releasing of compression in the low back, working a little bit of back bending, brings in some support from the shoulders and the mid back. We get a little stretch in the thoracic spine, just a bit. Awesome work. Feels so good. We'll take just about 3 more rounds of breath here. So even if you're up in your active bridge, not too much longer here. Fantastic work. When you're ready to come out, if there is a prop there, again, press into the feet and into the shoulders so you can lift the hips high enough to slide the prop out from underneath. Untuck through the shoulders. You can even walk the feet further so that creates more space for you to slowly roll the spine down 1 vertebrae at a time. Oh, pause for a moment in a nice neutral spine, just letting the hips sink down, and maybe there's a few rounds of windshield wipers, those knees side to side. Just after holding back bends for a minute, you want to kind of neutralize through the spine first before you take it into the counter stretch with some forward folds, and vice versa. If you're holding a forward fold for a really long time and then countering it with a back bend, take some time in a neutral spine first. All right, so nice and neutral, and then we'll draw the knees in towards the chest, tuck through the tailbone, lengthen through the spine. Nice little counter stretch there. Little rocking side to side might feel good, or some circles through the knees, something along those lines. Fantastic. Now here, we're going to take a heart opener and a hip opener. So we're going to come into a supported, a reclined cobbler's pose. It can be supported. If you don't have any blocks or don't want to use any blocks, I'll talk you through that or props. I'll talk you through that first, and then I'll show you where you can throw in some props, or go for it if you know what you're doing. So reclined cobbler's pose. We're going to bring the bottoms of the feet to touch and let the knees drop open. Opening up through the hips. And then for the heart opener, and we kind of just want to lift through the chest and tuck the shoulder blades underneath so we get a little bit of more opening in the heart. Now, you can definitely take this without props. But if you do have props and want to utilize them, a few nice ways to do that. You can use blocks or books, something similar underneath the knees, especially if you have tighter hips. Gravity is doing a lot of the work here, but sometimes that can take us a little too deep. So if you want to bring in some blocks to support you, you could also, if it's a little tense on the low back, you could bring the feet up onto a prop so that there's not quite so much arching in the low back, not as much compression in the low back. So that's a nice way. If you do want to increase the opening in the heart, a bolster is the best way to do this. I didn't bring my bolster today, but one thing that you can do is use maybe a second yoga mat or a blanket Roll it up so that it's about the length of the spine. And then maybe bring in a pillow if it doesn't quite support the head. But then lying back so that whatever your prop is lifting through the spine, getting this lift in the back of the heart so you can drop the shoulders down and back even further. But you can see that like my head is kind of hanging out there. You could take it into kind of a fish pose, opening up through the throat if that feels okay in the neck, or again, bring in a pillow or a block or something to open up through that chest. So I know that was a lot, but just know that you can just do whatever feels good. With the hips opening, heart opening. Hands can be doing whatever feels good. More open and receptive mudra would be turning the palms up, having the arms alongside the body. You could also open up into a T or a goalpost, kind of inviting more of that opening into the body. However, this may feel vulnerable. We may not be, might be uncomfortable, which is fine, but we don't want, any pain, or we definitely don't want to trigger, any traumas, anything that, since I'm not there to help you work through anything that may come up, we want to avoid any harmful triggers. So, that could be having the legs open like this. If that's the case, you can, not take the hip opener. Sometimes having our heart exposed like this can feel too much. So you could bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. You could also cross the arms, reaching for opposite elbows, shoulders, or biceps. And that can just kind of give you a little containment, as maybe you just work with a little bit of opening in, in the hips, or, if you want to have the hips closed and just work on the opening in the heart. Because there can be some releases there. We do tend to store a lot of emotions and trauma in our hips. We all have, things we're holding in our heart. So just pay attention. Again, it's good to allow yourself space to feel difficult things. But again, if it's going to trigger you into a space where you're going to need someone there for support, I don't want to be the trigger since I'm not there to support you through it. So just be aware of that and get yourself into any position that feels right for you. If you're not even feeling heart opening or hip opening, come into a child's pose, whatever. Just know that your yoga practice is always up to you. Any teacher, myself included, is simply a guide. The ultimate teacher is you, is your intuition, is your body. You know what's best for you. You know when things don't feel right. So my goal as a teacher is to give you the tools and to help you trust your body and trust your instincts to where you can move through any yoga practice doing what feels best for you, regardless of, what the teachers are teaching, if it's something crazy or something that doesn't fit in your body. I just want to give you you have the power already. You need to give yourself permission to, make every practice whatever it is that you need it to be. That's the goal. Directing you back to you and strengthening that relationship with yourself. A few more rounds of breath here. If you start to get a little cold as we cool things down, feel free to wrap yourself in a blanket. You can put layers of clothing back on, whatever feels best for you. We'll be in this heart and hip opener for about another 5 or so breaths, not too much longer. So in the final breaths, just see if you can allow yourself to release a little deeper, to relax a little further. Where can you soften? Where can you release? Beautiful work. And then as you feel ready, The knees are open. Bring the hands to the outsides of the thighs and gently draw the knees together. We'll come up into a seated position. Your choice. If the more gentle option will be rolling onto one side and pressing yourself up. If you have a stronger core or want to just work the core, then bring the hands back to the head to support the neck, and then you can just kind of do a little sit up. So we're coming up to a seated position. We're going to keep the knees bent, feet on the ground. Your choice how deep of a bend you have. And we're just going to take a forward fold where we fold in on ourselves. So we're going to start to draw the chest down towards the thighs. Allow the arms to come underneath the knees. And, maybe you grab the hands, the wrists, maybe you grab the opposite forearms, or maybe you can reach for the elbows. And now we do want to be able to support the weight on the thighs and maybe even rest the head down, but that'll kind of depend on flexibility, on how this feels in the low back. You can, if you want to go a little bit further, start to straighten through the front legs, but we want to keep that softness in the knees and the support that we have as we bow in on ourselves, as we support ourselves. Releasing through the head and neck. It's another great lesson of yoga is as we continue to turn back to ourselves, to reflect back to ourselves, we start to realize how strong we really are. And we start to realize that we are our biggest support, or that we at least should be, and that we have the ability to hold ourselves. We can be our own foundation, our own solid rock. We can be all that we need. And this bowing into ourselves, this honoring of who we are and the strengths that we have, the abilities that we have to support ourselves. And it's only then that after we have established that strong support and love and respect for ourselves, that we are able to share that with others. So for right now, just be your own support. Be your own foundation. Be your own comfort and stability. Be your own home. Allowing a release through the back side of the body, nice lengthening through the low back. Release for the neck and shoulders. A few more rounds of breath. Of course, the ultimate goal is self-love, self-acceptance. The more I talk to people, the more I realize that that can be a really far reach. But some of us, it'll take a lot longer to get to the point where we can say that we love ourselves. So the first step is to get to a place where you respect yourself, where you respect your body, you respect the gifts and the talents that you have, and you live in a way that reflects that respect. As you feel ready, we'll just start to release our forward fold. Gently starting to roll up to a seat. And then we'll start our transition towards our Shavasana, or our final relaxation pose. If you have a desire to take any further movements, any further action in your practice before settling in to Shavasana, please take as much time as you want to do that. For those practicing at home, I suggest putting on some nice music, something ambient. If you don't have anything queued up, if you have Spotify, you can go to my account, Jenny Wigham, JennyWigham, and there are some restorative and instrumental chill playlists that are really nice for Shavasana. So take as much time to wrap up your physical practice and to eventually settle into your final relaxation. That could be back on the back if you'd like. Traditional corpse pose, palms turned out, toes turned up. You could take that heart opener again if that felt good. You could lie on your side. You could lie on the belly. You could take a child's pose. You could join me in a seated meditation. So take as much time as you'd like to kind of wrap it up and then settle in. And as you do get into your final pose, the idea of Shavasana is simple in theory and very challenging in practice. And that's to simply surrender. To surrender everything. Surrender the body, the breath, the mind. And just allow yourself to be in the flow of life. Allow yourself to be in the flow of your breath. Allow yourself to be with the beating of your heart. And to relinquish control or the illusion of control. And just surrender. Allow yourself to be. And that is why it's challenging in practice. Because it's human nature to want to control or to want to feel like we're in control. And we move through life with so much intention and purpose and drive and goals, and those are all fantastic. But there comes a time when you need to let that hard work, let those good intentions do the work. And that's when it's time to take a Shavasana in life. And hopefully we've all had some sort of experience when we've just kind of, let Jesus take the wheel, or, gone with the flow of life, and just things work out sometimes better than we could have ever imagined for ourselves. So that's what our Shavasana helps us practice, because everything that we practice on the mat translates into our lives off the mat profoundly. And the more I practice yoga, the more that rings true. And so our Shavasana is an opportunity to practice that surrender, to practice giving time and space to all of the hard work and intention that we just put into our physical practice, to let that start to integrate into the mind and into the body, to let that energy start to root and take work within our bodies. An opportunity to practice surrender, so that when the time comes in our lives to just let go, to let the good work that we've done go to work, then we're a little more prepared for it. So as you settle in, just let yourself be. those practicing at home, if you do have more time to dedicate to your Shavasana, please do. I suggest at least 5 more minutes, but upwards of 20 if you can give yourself that gift. So the more space and time you can give your true self, I think the more benefit you'll get from it. So as you begin to feel ready, just start to bring some movement back into the body. Nice and slow. And eventually taking a full good morning stretch, sending arms overhead, lengthening out through the legs. You can roll out through the wrists and fingers, roll out through the ankles, spread out through the toes. And gradually, if you're lying down, pressing to one side of the body. And wherever you find yourself at this moment, just pause and offer yourself some gratitude. Gratitude for carving out this time to step on your mat, to find some movement in the body, some connection to the breath, and an opportunity to connect and surrender. As you feel ready, if you're not already there, just make your way up to a comfortable seat. I'll invite you to bring the hands to heart center or take any other meaningful gesture with the hands. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for all of you who came in person. Thank you to all of you who allowed me into your homes today. I hope that you enjoyed this practice. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste. And thank